in Baltimore, pile the old family in the family roadster and head over to Catonsville to UMBC. I had head coach Ryan Odom on earlier this week, so this guy was courtside, gave me the grand tour of the bowels of the new UMBC Event Center, or what I'm calling the house that Stern and Odom built on the campus that Pete Caringi built. Robert Canady joins us. He, of course, is our insider for all things Buckets and Birds. This is the Buckets portion of the programming. The Birds portion is down at Compass Point Golf, where he is putting together some events and some gatherings here as, 70 degrees middle of the week, Canady. I'm surprised you can even say the words basketball right now when the blooms are out and you can go hit the little dimple ball here, right?
Oh, absolutely, Nestor. Yeah, it's with the warm weather this week has brought people out I haven't seen in 6 months, and we have a full course, which is good to see, and it's a little early taste of spring has been great, and getting out there, got out there myself and hit it around a little bit this week with the nice weather, and just to get a taste of it, but still fully focused on basketball. With tournament action coming up here in a couple of weeks. So it's one of my favorite times of year is the two seasons kind of start to blend together a little bit.
Well, I'll tell you what. I know you spend a little bit more time at Towson than some other places, and we thought Towson was going to be the premier school in the area. Look out for those dogs. They're barking down there at UMBC. They're going to get a home game in the new gym. Boy, there's a lot to talk about with UMBC right now, including how in the world they're going to sell those seats in the upper deck. That's a big crib down there, man.
It is. They've had 2 games there. I've been to both. They had the home opener, and then they had one earlier over last weekend. A great game against Albany, which obviously we saw each other there and we chatted, and it was a decent crowd for that. It was certainly didn't come close to filling the lower bowl or getting to the upper deck, but with the tournament game coming up in a couple of weeks there, they'll be hosting a first rounder. I think they'll put the marketing people to work over there and win a couple games headed into it. And it would be nice to see that place pretty full.
Well, as far as the other teams in the area, I'm going to be down at Navy next weekend for the Caps game, right? And I'm going to be in Indianapolis all next week for the Combine. Navy's the other team along with Towson, and look, this all comes down to winning conference tournaments. We know that. I love the fact that UMBC is going to get a home game on the 3rd. They're actually going to play a meaningful playoff-style game at home. For the CAA and gathering and what they tried in Baltimore and Richmond and whatnot. Where are you with Towson at this point?
Boy, it's that's the $64,000 question. It's it's such a cliche and a cop out to say that they could win it all down there in Charleston, or they could be coming home after the first game. That's a slight exaggeration, but that's the way they've played since the middle of January. They have literally won one, lost one, won one, lost one. Since winning 2 in a row back in early to mid January, and some of those losses have been head scratchers. Against they've swept by JMU. Who, they're, a young team and they're getting better as the season's gone on, but they spent, the better part of the league, season at near last place. They barely got by Delaware at home. But yet earlier in the season, they go to Ireland and they win 2 games against 2 quality opponents over there. And then they won a tournament in Florida, 3 games. And,
well, you would say they peaked during the holidays. I mean, they peaked before the CAA really began. I mean, they've been a 500 team since CAA play began. I mean, the record is what it is, right?
Yeah, and Bat has talked about earlier in the year, and one of his sayings he always goes back to is how do you handle prosperity? And they came out of that holiday period at 10-1, and maybe they started reading some of their press clippings, or getting a little bit full of themselves, or what. But it's a senior laden team, and that shouldn't happen, but it has. They've, the talent's there. Mike Morcell, and, is one of the better players in the CAA, and he's hit some clutch game-winning shots. But the real problem there has just been really a lack of leadership, that you would expect to have with 3 seniors. And, they're all good kids, and they're all good players, but there's no John Davis or a Moto or a Benjamin from previous years that when things start going a little haywire, that's going to, grab everyone by the jersey and say, hey, what's going on here? Let's get this right. And so we'll see what happens down in Charleston. They'll go in as probably a 4 or 5 seed, so right in the middle of the pack, and it only takes 3 games.
Well, Charleston not a bad place for a tournament. I mean, you get knocked out early, at least you can eat good. Right?
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, better than Richmond, I would say.
Without a doubt, without a doubt. Yeah, so it's a nice environment down there. I won't actually be able to make it down there. I've got a kind of commitment work-wise that'll keep me from doing it. So the good news is I'll be able to, see the UMBC first-round game. And depending upon the schedule, I haven't really looked at it, but the Patriot League, Navy, you mentioned you'll be out there. They definitely will be hosting a first-round game in the Patriot League, because Patriot League does the same thing as the American East does with the home sites, the higher seeds hosting a home game in the first round, and Navy is sitting right now tied for second in the Patriot League. So they'll definitely be hosting one and possibly two games in their tournament. So that'll be interesting to see as well.
Well, and you talk about Navy, and I'll be down there next week for the Caps game. That could be the same time frame that they would be hosting a game down there as well. They've been the best team locally here literally over the last month, beating everybody in sight. Big game against Bucknell, who's been excellent as well. They play Loyola, who's stunk. Boy, Loyola, Morgan, Coppin. We've had some bad teams around here, but over the next week or week and a half, it's going to be interesting, including the Terps, right? We'll save the big meal for last and get in on that. We haven't talked much about the Terps last couple weeks, yet they've been doing a lot of winning after really stumbling around the Big Ten early on. Managed a road win at Northwestern in front of friends and family on Monday night. Now they get this Michigan game. I don't think that they're poised to win games against ranked teams at this point. But as I've pointed out all week, and I know I've talked to Maryland basketball this week, at least they have a right cross in them to have an opportunity. They don't stink so bad that I know they're going to get blown out by Michigan or by anybody else next week. And, they may have a haymaker in them and catch somebody asleep up at the Garden next week. That could happen.
Oh, it could. I think a big thing there, they by winning these last couple of games they pretty much move themselves up one day. They won't be playing in the dreaded first round games there that no one turns out to, but they'll definitely be playing. They won't get the 2-round bye like they have in the past years, but most likely will be playing in that the first round. So that's one less day they have to play, but one more than they played last year. But I think they've gotten healthier a little bit. Obviously they're not getting any of the Jackson back or anything like that, but Tchaikovsky's back playing, and he's been contributing. I think it's been great that Dion Wiley and has gotten a lot of playing time over the stretch with the injuries, and that's a key player as a senior to have going into tournament time. Cowan has been steady all year long, and Herder hit some big shots, and so the talent's there absolutely. I mean they went into this season with a lot of high expectations, and those expectations were definitely adjusted once the Jackson injury happened. And
well, if they keep Fernando out of foul trouble, they can kind of at least play in the paint with most teams, right?
Right, yeah. With him and Tchaikovsky down there now, that's a pretty formidable size. And, Fernando just plays with so much energy and everything. And you're right, staying out of foul trouble is key for him. And, we had talked a little bit earlier in the conference season how Turgeon was going to have to adjust, his offense and, come up with a new plan, because so much of it was designed to go through Jackson. And, maybe we're seeing a little bit of that the last couple of weeks with the 2 wins in a row. And again,
well, it's hard to adjust when you're doing it at Michigan State and Purdue, right?
Exactly, in Ohio State, and
without your best player,
Nebraska being a better team than they figured and everything. So it's it will be an interesting tournament to watch for sure. I enjoyed it being down here in D.C. last year, where I was able to make it to it, but it'll be a neat environment at the big Madison Square Gardens up there.
I can't go everywhere, Rob. I'm in Indianapolis next week. That's enough. I'm in Indianapolis and Annapolis next week, back to back for NFL and NHL. And heck, we got spring training going. We got March Madness going here. I'm saving next Saturday as well for UMBC, because it looks like they're going to play that game on the 3rd next week. So we got busy times around here, man. What's going on the golf course? Because I know it's open again, but give me a little bit about the events you guys are doing down there, because I don't think anybody puts on an event quite like you do at Compass Point.
No, you're right. It's definitely getting to be that time of year where some of the events will start popping up, and our first big one is March 10th, which will be a Saturday, a couple Saturdays down the road, the week after that UMBC game. So unless they're hosting, I guess they'd be on the road at the final unless Vermont got knocked off. I think that's when the final's supposed to be for the American East. But yeah, March 10th we have our Irish Open, so that's always one of our more popular events of the year. It's a great way to kick off the season. Is celebrating St. Patrick's Day, a week early. But you get out here, you enjoy some golf. Definitely we'll have the green beer flowing and some good food afterwards. And we're already starting to get a good turnout for it. I think with the nice weather this week, it gets people thinking about it and realizing that the grass is starting to turn a little bit green. Days are starting to get a little bit longer, and even though we didn't have a huge amount of snow or anything this year, winter, it always, it's, everyone's tired of it by now.
We're not done with snow, dude. It's February. I mean, I know you won't be all optimistic and Punxsutawney Phil and all. Come on, man. It's still February. We're going to get some more snow at some point.
Absolutely. I've been in this area for over 25 years, and I know we've had at least one or two March snowstorms, that hit pretty.
I remember Jay Gibbons running around losing the ball in the snow in April. They're playing opening day in March. We got Barry Trotz coming out that night, so we got plenty of bad weather, plenty of good weather. But I just want to make it top of mind that on that next 76-degree Tuesday or Wednesday, like we had this week, you can just think of Compass Point, and they can make room. When does the run on that start? Like maybe like Friday or Saturday, people saw the forecast and started getting tee time. When does that happen, Rob?
Yeah, good question. Exactly, that's what it is. People generally look,
10-day forecast,
4 to 5 days out this time of year. You can't do too much long-term planning because it changes so often this time of year. But yeah, I think by Friday we pretty much looked at our tee sheet and saw it, starting to fill up a little bit, and we didn't adjust our rates. We weren't any price gouging or anything like that. We kept with our winter rates and everything, and made sure though we had a fresh supply of hot dogs and beer coming in. Those had been on limited supply during the winter, but we said, okay, let's get stocked up and be able to feed all these golfers and everything. But yeah, about 4 days out, people start looking at it and looking at the schedule and planning their sick days. Maybe the day before they start coughing a little bit at work and.
Dear Bob's boss, Bob had the white dimpled flu on Wednesday. It was an 8-hour affliction. He'll be back at the office on Thursday when the temperature adjusts back down to 46. Yes.
Yeah, the good thing is this time of year you won't be going back in with the sunburn or the red head, and everything. Just saying, you got a little bit of sun during your 6 days.
It's a little tell, right? Like you going down to Orlando and not playing any golf last month. I heard about that.
Yeah, that's never a good thing. I failed on that trip for sure, but it got business done, which was the main purpose of it.
You can find Robert Canady at Buckets and Birds out on Twitter. The Buckets, of course, on the hardwoods anywhere from Coppin to UMBC, from Navy to Loyola to Towson to Morgan. He's everywhere, including at UMBC next week as well, and last week. You can find him down at Compass Point Golf as well if you're looking for some links on the next 76-degree Wednesday. Hey, man, keep the faith here this week. We'll hope to check in with you again next week. We'll be out in Indianapolis for the Combine, but I hope to get with you bright and early on Wednesday morning next week.
Sounds good. We'll talk to you then, buddy.
Always a pleasure. Robert Canady joining us here, Buckets and Birds, and, of course, at Compass Point Golf. You can find anything you miss here at the buyatoyota.com audio vault. It's there 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn radio app. We do come in crystal clear from anywhere in the world. Our morning newspaper ships to your email inbox at 7 a.m. It's all brought to you by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com, where it's still $10 a month to get in the best shape of your life. Hey, download that Royal Farms Rofo app. Get your gas with it. Get your fried chicken with it. I promise you it's going to get you some reward points. You're going to be able to get some free food, some discounted and free gas down the line. Everybody wants some cheap gas. Do it at Royal Farms. Become a Rofo Rewards user on your app. It's easy to use. Gas up. Pump up, real fresh, real fast. It is Royal Farms. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, and, of course, streaming live anywhere you are. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.